This is the extraordinary story of the USS England, a small but mighty warship that, in just 12 days, managed to sink 6 enemy submarines. This incredible feat established a record in naval history that remains absolutely unmatched to this very day. Between May 19th and May 31st, 1944, this single American vessel systematically hunted down and destroyed an entire concentration of Japanese submarines. It was a pivotal moment, showcasing the devastating effectiveness of the Navy's new anti-submarine technology. The saga of the England isn't just about advanced weaponry or brilliant strategy. It is a profound testament to the courage, dedication, and ingenuity of American sailors working under the most extreme pressure imaginable. The tale of this legendary hunt begins not with the thunder of naval guns, but in the quiet, methodical work of American cryptographers operating out of a nondescript building in Pearl Harbor. These unsung heroes, the code breakers of the Fleet Radio Unit Pacific, or FRUPAC, were the successors to the legendary Station Hypo team. On May 13, 1944, they intercepted a routine Japanese transmission. The message from the submarine I-16 contained what appeared to be simple logistics, an estimated arrival time at Bougainville in the Solomon Islands. To the expert American intelligence officers, however, this wasn't routine. It was a priceless opportunity, a chance to strike directly at the heart of Japan's submarine fleet. The operation that led to the England's success was the result of years of tireless effort. Since the earliest days of the war, teams of mathematicians, linguists, and puzzle solvers had labored in complete secrecy to break Japan's naval codes. Their difficult work, carried out in windowless rooms with bulky IBM tabulating machines, had already helped secure major victories at Midway and in the Solomons. But this was the first time that this decoded intelligence would be used so precisely and effectively. In a submarine hunt, the vital intelligence was immediately routed through secure channels to the 3rd Fleet and then directly to Commander Hamilton Haines, who led Escort Division 39 at Tulagi in the Solomon Islands. Haines, a veteran of the Atlantic campaign who had experience battling German U-boats, knew exactly what to do. He wasted no time, quickly organizing a 3-ship hunter-killer task group, selecting the very best anti-submarine vessels for the mission: USS George, USS Raby, and USS England. The England was temporarily reassigned from her normal duties to join this urgent patrol. All 3 Buckley-class destroyer escorts departed Purvis Bay on May 18, 1944. Their selection was deliberate. Each ship was specially outfitted and trained for anti-submarine warfare. Their crews had spent months honing their skills in the treacherous waters around the Solomon Islands, developing the kind of seamless teamwork necessary for coordinated attacks. Though many of the men were young, their relentless drilling in sonar operation and attack procedures was about to pay off in a big way. As the task force set out, additional decoded radio messages revealed a significant threat. The Japanese were establishing a line of 7 submarines, called the Na Line, stretching from the Admiralty Islands to Truk. This picket line was positioned directly across the route the American carrier fleet was expected to use. For its next major thrust, the Japanese High Command, facing mounting losses, was desperate. Submarines were their last major tool for gathering intelligence and disrupting American advances. The Na Line was intended as an early warning system. The flaw in their plan, however, was a rigid command structure. Each submarine was assigned a specific, fixed patrol area, unlike the flexible zones used by American submarines. This rigidity would prove to be a fatal vulnerability. The enemy's strategic focus, analyzing General MacArthur's moves along New Guinea, led them to believe New Guinea was the most likely target. This misconception resulted in Operation Ago, meant to be the decisive naval battle that would halt the American advance. This operation would ultimately lead to the catastrophic Japanese defeat in the Battle of the Philippine Sea, or as our pilots famously called it, the Marianas Turkey Shoot. The chain of events that sealed the Japanese submarine's fate started when American intelligence intercepted an order for the entire line to shift positions 60 nautical miles to the southeast. Our code breakers went into overdrive, successfully extracting the precise coordinates for every single submarine's new location. For the first time in the Pacific War, this ultra-secret intelligence was shared directly with the tactical anti-submarine forces, giving them an unprecedented lethal advantage. To protect this crucial secret, elaborate cover stories were prepared. The crews of the destroyer escorts were told their targets were spotted by routine aerial patrols. They never knew that their success was due to one of the most closely guarded intelligence triumphs of the war. The 3 ships were all new Buckley-class destroyer escorts, part of a massive wartime shipbuilding effort. These specialized submarine hunters were smaller and less expensive than a full fleet destroyer, allowing them to be mass-produced quickly, yet they were armed with the most advanced anti-submarine gear. Crucially, each vessel was named in honor of a fallen American hero, a tradition that inspired extraordinary duty. USS George was named for Seaman Second Class Eugene F. George, an anti-aircraft gunner awarded the Navy Cross posthumously. USS Raby was named for Rear Admiral James Joseph Raby, a World War I pioneer in anti-submarine convoy tactics. USS England carried the most poignant legacy, named for Ensign John Charles England, who was killed at Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. Just days before his 21st birthday, Ensign England, on the capsizing battleship USS Oklahoma, repeatedly descended into the sinking hull to guide trapped shipmates to safety until he was lost himself. His heroism in repeatedly risking and ultimately giving his life ensured his name would forever sail on 2 U.S. warships. The true striking power of these destroyer escorts lay in a single weapon, the Mark X Hedgehog anti-submarine mortar. This British-developed weapon was a game-changer. Unlike the traditional depth charge, which detonated at a preset depth regardless of a hit and deafened the sonar, the Hedgehog fired 24 contact-fused projectiles ahead of the ship. They only exploded upon direct impact with a submarine's hull. This single difference offered 2 massive advantages: immediate feedback and continuous tracking. Because there was no massive underwater detonation from a miss, the ship's sonar remained clear, allowing the crew to maintain contact and immediately set up for another attack. The Hedgehog was a silent killer. Submarines had no warning until the projectiles were already sinking toward them, eliminating the chance for last-second evasive maneuvers. Wartime analysis showed that while it took an average of 60 traditional depth charge attacks to sink 1 U-boat, the Hedgehog improved the ratio to only 5 or 6 attacks per kill. Even a single direct hit was often enough to breach a submarine's pressure hull. The first target, I-16, was no ordinary submarine. A massive Type C-1 veteran, she had a history in special operations, having launched the very first midget submarine attack at Pearl Harbor. Now she was reduced to carrying 75-pound rubber bags of rice to a starving Japanese garrison at Bougainville, a symbol of the deteriorating strategic position of the Imperial Navy. On the afternoon of May 19th, an Allied reconnaissance aircraft spotted the I-16 on the surface. The 3 destroyer escorts formed an acoustic net. The England's sonar operator, a young sailor from Iowa, was the first to gain contact. The submarine tried every trick: radical changes in depth, sudden speed shifts, and evasive turns. The England made 1 attack run, then a second and a third, all misses. On the third, a single Hedgehog hit failed to stop the big sub. The tension aboard the England was tremendous, but on the 5th attempt, the England's crew, demonstrating incredible persistence and tactical skill, had learned the sub's evasion patterns. At 14:35 hours, multiple projectiles found their mark. The resulting underwater explosion was so powerful it lifted the England's stern clear out of the water. 20 minutes later, oil, debris and bags of rice floated to the surface. The I-16 and all 107 men aboard were gone. The remaining targets were smaller Roe-class boats, designed for coastal defense but now forced into high-risk reconnaissance roles. Their job was to spot the American carrier fleet, but lacking radar, they were forced to spend dangerous amounts of time on the surface. Row 106, May 22nd. In the pre-dawn darkness, the George's radar caught the Row 106 on the surface. The submarine crash dove, but in a fatal mistake, turned directly toward the approaching England. The sub-commander didn't understand the forward-firing Hedgehog. The England's second attack scored at least 3 direct hits. The submarine broke up immediately, lost with all 49 hands. The entire action took just 36 minutes, Row 104, May 23rd. After a spotting by Allied air, the Row 104 proved elusive. The Raby missed 4 times, and the George missed 5 times. Finally, the England moved in. Her sonar team had been observing the sub's patterns for 2 hours. On the second run, they predicted its next move perfectly. Between 10 and 12 projectiles hit, causing a catastrophic underwater explosion. Row 116, May 24th. Spotted at an incredible 10-mile range by the George's radar, the Row 116 was a newer sub with an inexperienced crew. After the George and the England made several failed runs, the submarine's evasion patterns became predictable. The England's crew exploited this. On the third attempt, at 02:14, at least 3 projectiles struck home. The sub simply broke apart and sank, quietly taking all 56 sailors with her. Row 108, May 26th. This submarine was a proven danger, having sunk the USS Henley destroyer in 1943. The Raby missed first, but the England wasted no time. On her first salvo, 4 to 6 direct hits instantly tore the submarine apart. The entire crew of 53 was lost. By now, Japanese intelligence was alarmed, having intercepted American messages indicating massive success. Warnings were sent to the 2 remaining submarines, allowing them to escape. However, Row 105, perhaps due to radio failure or the presence of a division commander on board, chose to remain on station, Row 105, May 31st. After replenishing their depleted Hedgehog stocks, the hunter-killer group returned. The hunt for the Row 105 lasted all night, with the submarine using every desperate maneuver to survive. Finally, Commander Haynes aboard the George, and frustrated by the stubborn submarine, sent a legendary message, "Oh hell, go ahead, England!" The England's crew, calm and focused, had observed the sub's subtle patterns all night. At 07:36, their Hedgehog salvo was devastating. Between 6 and 10 projectiles found their mark, triggering a massive underwater blast, followed by secondary explosions as the sub's own torpedoes detonated. The shockwave was felt for miles. The Row 105 was blown apart, its destruction marking the 6th kill for the USS England. In just 12 days, from May 19th to May 31st, 1944, the modest USS England had achieved the unparalleled. 6 Japanese submarines sunk, 5 of them by her Hedgehog. The impact was immediate. Admiral Ernest J. King, the Chief of Naval Operations, sent a message carrying the weight of a promise and a tribute to Ensign England. There'll always be an England in the United States Navy. The ship and her crew were awarded the Presidential Unit Citation for extraordinary heroism, a rare honor for a destroyer escort. Lieutenant Commander Pendleton received the Navy Cross for his leadership, though the entire crew, from the sonar men to the Hedgehog loader teams, deserved the credit. The strategic consequences were even greater than the Navy first realized. The sudden loss of the 6 submarines convinced the Japanese to misinterpret American intentions, causing them to misdirect their fleet and delaying their response to the main American invasion of the Marianas. This strategic blunder paved the way for the decisive Battle of the Philippine Sea, the catastrophic Turkey shoot that destroyed Japanese naval air power. The story of the USS England endures today as a timeless reminder of human ingenuity, courage, and determination. In the darkest hours of conflict, ordinary Americans rose to meet an extraordinary challenge, and in doing so, they wrote a chapter of naval history that can never be matched.